watch what's approaching. The supreme moment, reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? Now that Global has the Extreme Z Awakening for the Physical Type Goku Black announced, I figured it'd be a good occasion to compare the two different versions because these are the small instances where there actually is a difference between the JP version and the Global version. So let's go ahead and cover and kind of run through a comparison between the two different sets of versions on JP and Global. So the first half is going to be the JP version, and then the second half will be the Global version. So let's talk about the difference. The EZA for the JP version did come out, let's see, May 9th of 2019, so earlier this year. And with the upgrades, I mean, it did increase this guy's potential quite a bit. Passive skill is where the main difference lies on top of the stats themselves, but for the passive skill for this unit, it's attack and defense increase of 15% per key sphere obtained, and then key +1 with each attack received up to +5. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres, plus an additional attack and defense increase of 5% per key sphere obtained when there's a Goku's family category enemy. Now the stats itself is also a little bit different between the versions. For JP, HP at 100% potential is 15,350, attack is 13,700, and defense is 9,125. Now, if we go over to the Global version, there is a little bit of a difference, and let's go ahead and cover that. Looks like the passive skill, the main difference is the Extreme Type Key +3, so that is actually a nice little addition to have for himself, but also various units on the rotation and team. So other than that, it looks like everything's straightforward and the same. Attack and defense increase of 15% per key sphere obtained. Key +1 with each attack received up to +5. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres, plus an additional attack and defense increase of 5% per key sphere obtained when there's a Goku's family category enemy. So it looks like everything is pretty much the same except for that key support to extreme types. However, if you look at the stats themselves at 100% potential, the Global version has HP levels of 15,950, attack is 14,800, and defense is 9,125. So it looks like the main difference lies with the attack side of the stats between Global and JP. So, you know, honestly, Global definitely does have an overall better unit, slight difference, but it could potentially add up, and that's, you know, really what this video is for, is to kind of look for the difference between the two variation of units. And again, this version on Global is coming out, let's take a look, November 25th, so coming up pretty soon. And with the EZA, of course, you have the 30 stages of Extreme Z battle and stuff like that. That's a free opportunity to get some Dragon Stones out of it, so definitely grind that while you can. But again, I think this was requested. I can't remember who exactly it was, but this was kind of suggested to see visually what the difference is between the two versions. And you guys can make your own determination as to which one's better. The likely obvious answer is the Global version. The other thing too is, in order to keep this comparison fair, it's pretty much the same team orientation. So like the same team builds with the transforming Zamasu leads with, the various individual units included. Whirus obviously is included because of the orb changing abilities. I mean, that unit converts the intelligence and tech type key into physical type key. So of course it's going to make Goku Black's ability to, get that nuking passive increase a lot higher than in cases where the unit's not available. But you will see rotations where it's kind of under a normal setting where you're collecting maybe 5 or 6 key spheres and seeing what the difference is with that in terms of the attack and defense increase. But that's kind of one of the reasons why that unit's included. Of course, Turles and Kid Buu are phenomenal supporting type units where they boost up the allies' attack. In Kid Buu's case, attack and defense by quite a bit. I mean, we're talking about 40% and 50%. Depending on the HP levels. For Kid Buu, it's 50%, HP above 80%, or if it's below 80%, you're looking at 30%. So very good units overall. I mean, it's It's very solid. And Goku Black, I mean, obviously, you do want some sort of key changing unit to benefit, I guess, maximize the benefit. But, you know, he does have the ability to randomly change key spheres into rainbow types when facing Goku's family category type enemies. So, you know, the opportunity's certainly there to where, you know, he could still be self-sufficient enough to you know, get some of that nuking passive increase. I mean, we are talking about, you know, attack and defense increase of 15% for key sphere obtained, and then when you are facing a Goku's family category enemy, it's an additional 5% for attack and defense per rainbow key obtained. So, okay, so switching over, this is the global version, and we'll see how this unit does in comparison to the JP version. Honestly, I think many global players were looking for, you know, they're always looking for bragging rights versus JP. Whatever global does better compared to JP, every opportunity is a way to brag about that. But, you know, I mean, like, I personally I'm indifferent to either version. You know, we all play the same game. It might be different versions, but we all share the love for the same game and passionate about it. So, you know, I consider it like almost like a friendly rivalry. You know what I mean? Like, there's no ill will or anything like that. Hopefully that's the case. But, you know, I just kind of poke fun at, you know, sometimes, you know, the rivalry can kind of stir up conversations a little bit. You know what I mean? But that's the extent of it. But back to the original point. So, again, the main difference is the passive skill, where the extreme type get a key boost of 3, and then the stats themselves are slightly different. Slightly higher in the global version versus JP, so that's really the main difference. Again, all of the units included on the team are the exact same units that were included on the JP version, so it's kind of like a apples to apples comparison in order to keep everything level. You know what I mean? Like the playing field level, just to see how really the true difference is. And of course, there's a lot of other, you know, variables that are not controlled necessarily, like the amount of ki obtained and, you know, certain units on the rotation, blah blah blah. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a controlled enough comparison to where you are able to see a pretty fair difference or pretty fair comparison between the two versions. So I don't know. You guys let me know which version is better. Obviously, on paper, the global version is better, but is there that much of a difference? That's really what the question comes down to. Does that slight increase in stats make a difference? I think, you know, even if it didn't in that case, the fact that the global version has a key support function in the passive for allies, I think that is probably a tremendous added value. You know, one of the reasons why I say that is, like, units like Kid Buu, they don't typically link necessarily well with the rest of the units. I mean, he does have fierce battle and stuff like that, but the problem with the Majin Buu units is they tend to not have many key links. You know what I mean? So, like, sometimes getting a super attack, depending on how things are set up, is a little bit of a struggle. So maybe that's, you know, some beneficial value with that if you do plan on running Kid Buu on the team, you know, stuff like that. But I mean, even on the JP side, there wasn't that much of an issue with that. So I think, you know, with Turles and, you know, Kid Buu on the rotation, you're looking at a substantial amount of key boost to allies. So I guess it's not really that big of a play here. But yeah, I mean, it's I mean, you could definitely notice a difference. I think the bottom line, that's probably it. I mean, you can definitely see a difference. It's just a matter of, is that difference that big? I guess that's really what it comes down to. And, you know, I think even on the JP version with, you know, slightly lower stats and missing the key boost passive skill set, I mean, it's still a pretty good unit. And personally, for me, I don't really run this guy as much. I am a big fan of the intelligence transforming Goku Black, so obviously because they share the same name, you can't really run them together. So my preference is over, you know, running the transforming Goku Black unit versus this version. But don't get me wrong, this version's very good as well, especially with the EZA. I mean, we're talking about a substantial upgrade compared to what it was before. I mean, even, you know, the JP version, I'm going to cover the JP version on this, but we're talking about just the passive skill was just straight up attack increase of 3,000 for every key sphere obtained. So yeah, I mean it's pretty major how big of an upgrade this guy actually has, and I think because of that he's a lot more relevant. And I don't think you necessarily run him all the time now since the EZA, but I think it gives you the option to run the guy if you want to. I think that's the greatest part about it, and that's essentially what the big thing about the EZAs are. They bring in units that you haven't used in a while, and they bring them back in the limelight, and they're a lot more viable options now, so that's a great thing. So yeah, this is really just comes down to just visually showing the difference between JP and global version of the EZA physical Goku Black. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, peace out.